Alright, so welcome guys to another unboxing, and today we have a really exciting IEM. This is the KC2. So this is one of the most requested IEMs in the comments. I have seen this all the time, and of course I did try my best to get one. That's my channel. I try to cover as much as I can in the budget space. This is $50, 2BA, 2DD, so really good configuration for the price that you're paying for. So I think this is around $30, so definitely really cool price for something like this. So yes, let's unbox this thing. Of course, big thanks to BQEYZ for sending this over. Links down below for their shop. So yeah, a pretty small box overall and minimalist as well. So yeah, BQEYZ, hybrid technology in-ear earphone. This is a hybrid BA and dynamic driver. Type in-ear, 25 grams of weight, 1.2 meter cable, 3.5 millimeter jack, 0.78 millimeter 2-pin connector, and 7 to 40 kHz in frequency range. So this is your unboxing experience. So really hyped about this because there's a lot of people commenting on my videos on the KC2, and yeah, I'm not 100% sure on what to expect, but if it's anything similar to maybe the Spring 2, the BQEYZs that I have checked, this might be right down my alley, because I did like that. So this is the unboxing experience, and that is the KC2. It has that maybe TRNVX kind of look. So you're getting that black KC2, and yeah, from the get-go I'm liking the look here. It's an all black kind of design, which is something that I do like personally. Falls right down my alley. And you're getting some additional tips in this, and the tips is your silicone tips, and you're getting some manuals as well, and yeah, not a lot in the box actually, so you don't have any case whatsoever. And here you're getting that cable, that L plug at the top, but an all black cable in this, not the thickest cable. This kind of reminds me of maybe the TRN cable in a way. You have an L plug at the top, and yeah, all black in design. And you're getting 0.78 millimeter 2-pin connector, and yeah, you're getting that design. And actually for me, it's a looker. It's a different look on the ear. It's a metal build as well, so it feels good in the hand, and an all black kind of design, which falls right down my alley. So yeah, it's not the most contoured shape that I have seen. So yeah, definitely do get that more blockiness here. Be actually good fitting on the ear still, even if it doesn't have a contour, because yeah, usually bulges here can make it really fit on the ear. Also goes inside the ear as well, so pretty deep in the insertion, so that's cool. And actually in terms of the build quality, it feels good in the hand. It's quite medium in the weight. It has a bit of weight, but not that much, so I can see that this might be comfortable to wear on the ear. So yeah, in terms of the build quality overall, I'm actually good with the build quality. So it's just the cable that I have an issue with. Maybe a better cable would do in the future, but yeah, I do like the old black design. It's not an issue for me, and also the lobes, it has that unique nature to it. But I do recommend maybe a cable change in this for sure. Maybe at least with the Yin a core cable, that will be nice on this, because yeah, the cable is still left to be desired. But yeah, I don't have any major issues on the build quality here. So yeah, let's put this on the ear. Alright, so now we are wearing it on the ear, and actually really stable on the ear. So one of the more stable ones in that price range. So even if you don't have fins, this is really stable because it does go inside your ear. And again, that bulge helps out in making it stay on the ear better. Isolation is pretty good as well. I would say above average in this. It does block out most of the noise. Comfort is actually pretty good as well, so it's not that big of an IEM. So this can be something that I can wear for a long listening session. So even if it doesn't have some contours, because maybe it's a small IEM on the ear, it's not that suffocating feeling to wear on the ear. So I would say not bad overall in terms of the comfort in this. I can listen to this for a long listening session. So yeah, I don't have any major issues in this. So let's try to have a first listen. So let's try to listen to some Let's Groove Earth, Wind and Fire. Alright, so firstly the sound stage here is really big. That is the first thing that I encountered here. So it's quite a rounded stage. So it's pretty balanced on the ear. And yeah, the soundstage is quite good in this overall. I can see that the separation is quite good as well. Because of that bigger stage, separation is really good as well. It's easy to pinpoint the instruments. Pretty good resolution as well. The vocal is quite smooth in the mix, quite thick in the mix. So it's not thin vocals. The position is quite good in this. So for Let's Groove Earth, Wind and Fire is where you want it to be. even for the male vocals. So sometimes for some IEMs, I have an issue with the male vocals, but here the male vocals is nicely positioned in the mix. It has maybe a bit of shimmer on top, but I would say not that much. It still has pretty good body for me. And yeah, here in Let's Groove Earth Within Fire, the shaker in the right side is always what I'm looking for. And it resolves it with good positioning. It's quite in the rightmost of the sound stage. And with still pretty good body. Maybe not the best bodied highs that I've heard, not the best shaker that I have heard. But I would say it's still pretty good overall. Yeah, the bass here, it's not that overwhelming in the mix. This is more of an enthusiast listen on the ear for sure. So actually maybe reminds me of a Moondrop type of listen on the ear, but definitely with that BA type of presentation. So it kind of reminds me of that. Maybe has that maybe aria vibes to it, but yeah, maybe with detail retrieval of a BA. So I'm liking the listen so far, even if it's our first track. So let's try some It's My Life Bon Jovi. Yeah, definitely the detail retrieval is there. It's pretty good. And you hear the male vocals has that micro detail. And the positioning for me of the male vocal is where you want it to be. So one of the few in this price range that I'm okay with the positioning. But I would say not that shouty to listen to. I would say as well, it's has some musicality to it, but it's not the most aggressive presentation. So this is more toned down. So yeah, this is not your overly aggressive presentation. So the presentation here is I would say right in the middle, which is something that's pretty safe. Usually for that kind of presentation, it's versatile because you can use it for a lot of tracks. Yeah, this sounds really good. So maybe the vocal, yeah, I need to nitpick. Maybe the vocal is still a touch laid back than what I would like. It has, still a bit of veil to it for me still in the vocal region. So yeah, not the most revealing vocal. But I would say, especially for a treble sensitive crowd, this is the vocal that you would like. So yeah, the top has that shimmer on top. So it's still, not completely out of the mix. So this still has, that air frequencies, but it's not overly done. So it gives it a bit more life on top. So a bit more musicality on top, but not overly done. Let's try another track. Maybe some 24K Magic Bruno Mars. Yeah, actually in the whole track, it has some warmth to the track. So the bass here, it's definitely present in the mix, but this is not for bass heads. The bass has a bit of boom to it, but it's not overly boomy. I'm not detecting any mid-bass bleed in this. So it's not, a super bassy pair, but the bass is still substantial in the mix. So it's not a bass light IEM at all. So definitely not a boring bass for me. So in terms of the speed, I'm okay with the speed of the bass. So it has a bit of boom, but it's not overly boomy. So because of that, the separation is quite good because the bass is not overly boomy in this. Yeah, and I'm really liking the the mix presentation. Not the most revealing, but this definitely has a unique nature to it. So we're gonna measure this later. I'm excited to check out the measurements. But I'd like to shoot my first impressions in this. Maybe let's try some progressive rock. You Not Me Dream Theater. This is not an aggressive type of listen, so this is something that you can listen to for a long listening session. It's a non-fatiguing listen. Maybe kind of reminds me of the guide ray as well in the presentation. But again, yeah, the positioning of the vocal is nice, but the presentation is still a bit more laid back than what I would like. So definitely not for vocal heads, but definitely the positioning, the separation, and for me, the tonality as well is pretty good as well. So the body on top, again, as I mentioned, it's pretty good, but not the best that I've heard. So let's try some instrumental tracks, maybe some toe, Everything Means Nothing. Yeah, and here, even if I am putting some volume here, it's not that hot to listen to. So for a long listening session, you won't have an issue with this. I'm not encountering any sibilance. But yes, definitely the sound stage is something that really intrigued me in this. Yeah, let's have some measurements, and I'm gonna give you guys more impressions later. First, we now measured the KC2, and did some more listening to it as well. And yeah, firstly, I am impressed with the KC2. This is definitely something that I will like, and one of my favorites for sure. So it's kind of a mixture of several IEMs. But let's check the signature first, and let's check it with the aria. So yeah, firstly, as I mentioned to you guys in my first impressions, it did remind me of the aria in a way. It has similarities in the tuning. So both the aria and also the KC2 has that maybe 12K peak. But actually the KC2 has a bit more elevated, but the peak is not that thin on top compared to what you get with the aria. So the peak on top in the KC2 is a bit more rounded off. So you're getting maybe the nearest to IEM diffused feel that I have seen on a BQEYZ, because the Spring 2 is more of a V type of shape, and the Summer it's an even more V shape. So this is a more IEM diffused field compensation. Maybe reminds me of the SSR as well, but of course with some difference in the tuning. So as you guys can see, from the base region, you're getting a slight lift to around 300 hertz region, and then from 300 hertz you're getting a slight dip to around 1k, but you know, not that big of a dip, and then going up to around 4k with a slight elevation, and actually it goes down quite significantly around 5k. So this is one of the cons here for me. We're gonna discuss maybe the repercussions of that in a few, and after that it goes up to around 12k, which completes your peak on top. So yeah, compared to the Aria, as you guys can see, the Aria is still a bit more bassy compared to the KC2. So it's a bit maybe 5 dB more elevated, especially in the sub bass region. And in the mids, you're getting similarities in the dip in the mids. But yeah, the KC2 is still a bit more recessed in the mix, but not that big of a change. Maybe around 1 dB, 2 dB, you know, recessed in the KC2. And yeah, in the top, in around 3 to 4k, you're getting similar readings there. But yeah, compared to the Aria, the 5k is more elevated in the Aria compared to the KC2, where you're getting quite substantial dip, and then it goes up to around 12k, which completes that, you know, Chi-Fi peak. So it has similarities with the Aria, and the Aria is maybe 2 times the price. So quite surprised about that. Right, so now this is the Spring 2. Comparing it to the Spring 2, they do have a lot of similarities still. You have that BQEYZ parts of it, but the highs part is a bit different compared to what you get with the KC2. But actually the base region is similar. But in the sub-bass region, your BQEYZ KC2 is a bit more recessed in the mix. So you have a touch more bass in the Spring 2. And actually in the mids region, yeah, the Spring 2 is still more of a V type of shape. So the mids and the Spring 2 is a bit more recessed in the mix compared to you know, what you get with the KC2. And actually on top, you're getting more elevation in around 4k and 8k as well in the Spring 2. So your Spring 2 will have more brightness on top over your KC2. So again, the KC2 has that 5k dip, but actually in the Spring 2 you don't have that, you know, 12k peak on top. So yeah, definitely a big change compared to you know, what you get with the KC2. But the Spring 2 has, you know, that piezo on top, so it still gives that, you know, treble energy. But yeah, definitely the KC2 is a bit different in this regard. So actually the peak on top may explain in my first impressions that I encountered some thinness and some cymbals, so that might be the cause of that. So compared to the Moondrop SSP, so the SSP still has that maybe recession in the sub-bass region, and yeah, that hump in around 100 to 200 hertz region. But the SSP is more V shaped compared to your KC2. Your KC2 has more elevated mids. So in the SSP, you don't have that air frequencies, so it's a little bit more boxed in the SSP, in the air frequencies, but the SSP has more of that 5k 6k elevation. You both have that maybe 3 to 4k elevation, but yeah, in the mids region you're getting more recessed 1k, more recessed 2k as well. So yeah, the SSP is still more of a V type of shape compared to the KC2, but actually they do have some similarities in the tuning, but yeah, the SSP doesn't have that 12k peak. Right, so from the get-go for the KC2, I am liking my listen so far. It has a lot of things going for it. So of course, first is the big soundstage, one of the bigger ones that I've heard in that price range. Also, the imaging is great as well, so it's easy to locate some instruments. So this might be something that I can use for some mixing work as well. So yeah, the musicality here is still substantial, you know, not the most aggressive that I've listened to, but they were able to find a balance that it's still, you know, not boring to listen to, also not hot to listen to as well. So I didn't encounter any hotness in my initial listen in this, in the top and also in the mids region, especially in the mids region. Also has pretty good micro details, balanced sound as well. So yeah, the bass is not that overwhelming. The highs is still pretty good in the mix. So it's just maybe the 12k peak that can, you know, turn off some. Also good tonality as well for a BA, one of the better ones that I've seen for a BA in this price range. So definitely nice on that. So in terms of cons, so first, as I mentioned, yes, I'm gonna confirm after listening to it a bit more, a couple of tracks. The vocals is a touch laid back than what I would like. So especially in the male vocals, so some tracks it can be a bit too boxy. So that might be the 8K recession. So some instruments, some vocal might be a bit boxy to listen to. Is it a big issue? I would say not so much. This kind of reminds me of maybe the HD 600. So it has that maybe laid back nature to it. It's not the most revealing, but it's not that bad. It's something that you can listen to for a long listening session. For vocal heads, this might not be the pick for you. So yeah, the cymbals also has some thinness to it. So maybe it's a 12K peak here. So still not the fullest bodied cymbals, but again, from what I have heard, for those who has a 12K peak, this is not that bad again. So also the bass doesn't go that deep. The bass can be better. So that might be something that for bass heads. This is not for bass heads. So yeah, for this that is more of the cons that I can see. So right, let's try to close the things for the BQEYZ KC2. Yeah, even if it is not a review, I have seen that I really like the KC2 in my listen. So definitely if you're not into maybe that double horns at the top, some people don't like it. So definitely is something that you can consider in that price range. I don't see a lot of them in that price range, maybe just the SSP, but here you're getting your BA type of configuration, so multi-driver kind of configuration. And definitely that has its advantages over your SSP. So yeah, it has a unique selling point, especially in that price range. So even if this is an older IEM, this definitely has a lot of things going for it. So that's my look with the BQEYZ KC2. Really cool in this. Hopefully I can do a full review of this in the future. I just have a lot of stuff lined up, but yeah, even if without the review, I'm liking my overall listen. So of course, if you learned something, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next zpolt review. Bye bye.